the Deal News Podcast, episode 245 for February 6th. OUYA? Oh yeah. UMA? Oprah. I'm joined by Lewis and Dan. Hey, fellas.
Hey, Jeff.
How's it going?
Good, good.
Does everyone remember the UMA Oprah gag?
Yes, I do.
God, how long ago was that?
It must be like 15 or more years at this point, right?
I would think so.
I mean, that was back from when David Letterman hosted the Oscars. So I think there are kids alive today in high school that don't remember that he even hosted that. So I think it was like
you are correct.
18 years or so. I remember being so excited about that and so
Me too.
disappointed when
Yeah,
it did.
he did a great job.
He did.
Now, why didn't they ever ask him back?
I think he has a very acquired taste of humor, and I don't think it played so much in front of all of America tuning in to watch the stars come out, you know?
Well, there you go.
Unfortunately. Well, we miss you, David Letterman. He's not dead. I don't know why I said that.
Yeah, it's not like he's gone that I know of. Spoilers.
So yeah, look forward to the Oscars coming up soon on TV, not hosted by David Letterman. All right, before we begin, I got a piece of listener mail that I wanted to share with you. It says I truncated it, so I apologize to the writer of it. I just wanted to hit some key points here. He says, "Hi guys, in regards to the 128 gigabyte iPad, I think this is really targeting the HD portable video market. Depending on the quality, you're talking a couple gigs per movie at least. A few movies, video, podcast, games, video recording from your camera, and that space goes real fast. You're not likely to transfer that much info over the air, even without bandwidth cap limitations. Thanks for the show, James C." Yeah. So if I said, did I say thank you to James? I'm thrown off today. I don't know. The whole UMA Oprah thing threw me off. I guess.
think it is.
I don't know. But yes, a valid point, James. Thank you for writing. If anyone else would care to write in to share their opinions or other words, send that to podcast@dealnews.com. We will probably read it on the air. All right, let's see. A follow-up. We talked last week about how the Super Bowl was going to be streaming over the interwebs. Did either of you guys try it?
Absolutely not.
No. You know what? For the first time ever, I didn't even tune into the commercials. I just didn't have the desire. I don't know why. I guess I was so disappointed by last year's commercials and the fact that you could watch the commercials on YouTube before the Super Bowl that I was like, there's no point. I just didn't even bother. I didn't bother.
Good point. I didn't know you could actually watch the commercials prior to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't tune in because I didn't want to start the show and then have to switch over to Downton Abbey and then come back and miss, I'll have missed all that stuff. So anyone else watch Downton Abbey on PBS?
I need to. Everyone says that's a great show. I need to watch it.
It's ridiculously fun for a show that is essentially a soap opera. It's just that they have wonderful English accents, and it's oftentimes funny and poignant, moving. Yeah, it's a good time.
Something I did during the Super Bowl this year that was kind of a first for me was I had my Kindle Fire tablet. And I inadvertently started being a Facebook Super Bowl commentator.
Yes.
Everything. It's like every couple seconds I'd post something about the Super Bowl or the commercials. And it was a lot of fun. I actually enjoyed that much more than watching the game.
I was about to say, I had my iPhone next to me the entire time, and I was looking at Twitter, and I felt like even though I wasn't watching the Super Bowl, I felt like I knew what was going on. It was like, oh my God, blackout. Oh, blackout. Oh, Beyonce's on. I was like, I don't need to watch it. I'm getting a play-by-play right here,
Yeah, I mean, if you get the commercials before they air and you're getting the play-by-play on Twitter, essentially the viewing of the game itself has become irrelevant.
It really has. It's like, first of all, I'm not a sports fan, so I wasn't going to watch the game.
Either.
If anything, maybe the halftime. But then once Beyonce came on, people were like, oh, blah blah blah. She only gave what's her name, Kelly, like 2 minutes on the mic or something like that. I mean, I feel like I watched it and I didn't even watch it.
I actually did tune in at some point because there was nothing else on. Counter programming was abysmal this year. I think you had the Puppy Bowl.
Walking Dead, and Puppy Bowl. I was going back and forth between Puppy Bowl and the Walking Dead marathon.
See, but it was all old episodes. It wasn't anything new, so I wasn't. Just
it doesn't matter. It's like The Walking Dead, for heaven's sake.
I want new counter programming, and the Puppy
Bowl. That's new.
Only lasted me so long. Only lasted me so long.
Did you watch the Walking Dead commercial from the Super Bowl?
The Time Warner one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
That was actually one of the funniest ones on there, I thought, personally.
Yeah.
That's
actually, I think only maybe you linked it somewhere, or your other podcast, Zombie Beach, posted
I
it
think
somewhere.
that got linked up there.
So it's really only one of the probably the only Super Bowl commercial that I've seen, unless I've seen some on regular television since, honestly. So I didn't even tune in to watch the commercials, but I did try and stream it on my phone. And
from your phone, wow.
Yeah,
well,
because you're supposed to be able to download the NFL app on your phone, and then just like when you load it up, it even said like Super Bowl watch, and I pushed the button, and it said like sign up or do a trial where I would get to watch 5 minutes. And I tried to go back out, and I hit it again, and it said the same thing, like either sign up or do the trial, and I just gave up. I don't know. They didn't really make it clear of what I was supposed to do. Was I supposed to try the 5-minute trial, and then I would get it forever? I don't know. I'm even the guy that did the research into streaming it on mobile devices, and I couldn't figure it out. No one.
Wait, so it was a trial of NFL.com or a trial of?
I have no idea.
That's weird.
I'm guessing that it's like the Center Ice. What's the?
Yeah, kind of like
Game Center Live. Is that what they call the hockey one? Because like you can get that on the phone, and you have to subscribe to that. It's like paying for Center Ice. So maybe there's a similar thing with the NFL, and that's what it was trying to get me to do. I don't know. I found it, and after 3 attempts of being like, I'm not sure I want to push that button and accidentally subscribe to this football thing that I have no interest in. I was like, well, because if I get frustrated that easily, there are people that get frustrated way more easily than I do. So I'm guessing that a lot of people that went to the phone were just like, I don't know what to do, and gave up on it. I don't know. Do you think it's something that they tried to do a barrier of entry to for people to not stream it, so that they would watch it on TV?
What did NBC do with the Olympics? Didn't you have to give them your email, or was it just easy, like just log on?
Well, the Olympics weren't on the phone. That was just on.
That was on a desktop,
on
right.
Yeah, and you had to log in through your cable carrier.
Right.
So it would like redirect me to Time Warner's site, where I would log in. It would redirect me back, and I would have to log in there, and then I'd be able to see everything.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I had no idea what I was supposed to do or anything. So
no streaming for you is what you're saying.
No streaming at all. But it did then, once I said no, started playing the audio of the game, much to the chagrin of my wife, who was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, for work. I'm trying to do this for work. So neither of you tried it, so it's kind of a dead story there.
Well, we've always got next year.
Yeah, next year. They'll get it right next year, I swear.
Yeah, sure.
All right, before we get to the story that I referenced in the title, there was a bigger story that happened this past week, and that is that Blackberry has announced their new phones. They have come out with 2 new phones, the Z10 and the Q10. The Z10 is an all-touchscreen interface, and the Q10 looks like an iPhone, but with a chiclet keyboard down at the bottom of it. They have also renamed themselves as Blackberry. They are no longer RIM, no longer Research in Motion. They are just Blackberry, realizing that people just called them Blackberry, so why not just be called Blackberry?
Makes sense.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of these new phones? Have you had a chance to take a gander at their prettiness or lack thereof?
Yeah, I checked them out online. I checked a couple of the first impressions and stuff like that. The all-touch one, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm sold on it yet. I mean, like, obviously, I'd like to see BlackBerry succeed. I'd like to, the more competition, the better.
Sure.
But it just feels like, I don't know. I mean, they're starting from scratch essentially because, like, they need to build up their apps. This is the new operating system that they're launching along with the new phones. So a lot of changes going on, which is great and awesome. But the fact that it's still not available in the U.S. I think it just came out today in Canada and Europe or something like that. I mean, they're still coming at it a little too slow and not as aggressive as I think they need to be.
Well, I mean, it'll be out in mid-March. There's been longer delays from announcement to release. I mean, wasn't the iPhone announced like 6 months before?
True. But the thing is that, like,
this is no
BlackBerry,
iPhone.
No. BlackBerry right now, they need to win people over. They need to win. If I have an iPhone, they need to tell me, like, all right, you need a BlackBerry instead of an iPhone, or drop your Android and come to BlackBerry. And for me personally, those 2 phones don't really do that. You know, it's kind of like, oh, look, here's a new BlackBerry. It's all touch. Here's a new BlackBerry. It's like half touch and half the keyboard, and it has a new OS. But the new OS kind of looks a little bit like the old one in certain when you drill down to like the settings and all that. So it's kind of like, I don't know. It hasn't sold me on.
It does look like a hybrid of BlackBerry's interface and Android as well.
Right.
Now let me play devil's advocate here for just a second. So do you think that this? And I have no factual rumors or anything to back this up with, but do you think that they're just doing this to make the company look pretty in order to sell it?
Ooh, that is a cynical viewpoint.
I'm just saying. I mean,
I like it.
In all honesty, I mean, I don't think this can save BlackBerry. I think they've dropped the ball. They blinked. They did everything that they shouldn't have done. They're still around. It just seems to me like, here, let's put a new coat of paint and some shiny chrome on it, and let's set it out on the front yard with a for sale sign.
True.
So that could be, it could be, but that's just what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely a possibility. I mean, they stuck to their tried and true interface for too long, lost market share, and then the rumors did start popping up in the last couple of months about them having potential suitors to buy them out. So I was actually quite surprised that they announced 2 new phones and all touchscreen phones because the rumors were swirling that they were going to be sold out. That is an excellent point, Dan. I would hate to believe it because, I mean, that is kind of cynical to think of, like, you know, well, let's pump it up and make it seem the best it can before it gets sold off. But it's a definite possibility, especially when you look at the specs of the device as well, like the Z10, which is the one which is all touch. There's nothing in it that is super appealing. There's nothing that sets it apart from any number of phones that are out there right now. And I think this speaks to what you were saying, Lewis, is that you come out with a phone, it has to do something better, you know, and right now,
give it like an 8-core chip or something, you know. You have to distinguish it, and to me, BlackBerry failed to do that. I mean, it's distinguished in the sense that it's running the BlackBerry OS, but that's not necessarily positive, I don't think.
Well, see, the positive would be if it ran the OS that everyone that's stuck with BlackBerry wants, but it's a whole different OS. So essentially
it's a learning curve.
Right, and it's an entire new phone for everyone who comes to it. So BlackBerry diehards aren't going to like it because it's a change, and Android and iPhone people are going to look at it and be like, well, what are you offering? That is different, you know? And I think that speaks to also what you said, Lewis, of if you're going to release an also-ran phone, at least release it for availability today, you know, rather than mid-March, you know, later. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is nice to have more competition. It is nice to have another option. But I mean, essentially, it's a skinned Android, right? The base kernel of it is the Android operating system, I believe.
Is it? I didn't know that.
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I read something where the App Store that they have, which I guess will, when the phone is released here, it's going to have like 70,000 apps. Which sounds like a lot until you realize that Android and Apple both have like 700,000 apps. But someone revealed that the majority of those apps that are in the store right now are like Android apps that have been reskinned to fit, not reskinned, but like,
reported.
Yeah, they're like ports, and that could be done because it's essentially running an Android architecture. I could be wrong. That could be, you know, I could be being misled by that information, but as far as I understand, that's how it's going.
Yeah, I know that for the announcement, they spent a couple of minutes talking about Foursquare on BlackBerry, and I was like, Foursquare? Seriously?
Really?
I mean, that's not what you should be talking about on your
right. We have the hottest social networking platform.
We have the mobile MySpace app.
Do you guys remember Friendster? Well, it's back on BlackBerry, exclusive.
Exclusive,
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's what makes me think that they're just shining up the car and putting it out on the curb. I don't know. I will be surprised if within a year that there is not some announcement of somebody buying it out, like Samsung. BlackBerry by Samsung or something like that.
BlackBerry by Samsung.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Or unless it's a stopgap measure where they were like, look, you know, the phone we really want to release isn't going to be ready for another year or two. So let's release this one now just to have something so people aren't really saying that we're going to close before we announce something new. You know. I don't know. The only really revolutionary thing about the Z10 is that there's no button. There's no home screen button. There's no way of getting back to the original home screen. Everything that you do on the phone is done with gestures, I guess.
Right.
So if the gestures fail, then what? I don't know. You're going to have to remember all these gestures. Some guy was saying that, you know, some of them are quite intuitive, but then there are other ones that are like a swipe from the bottom corner in an arc to the side or something like that.
Oh, good heavens.
Which might work if your thumb just goes kind of in an arc like that, but maybe if you don't hit it right. I don't know. So it looks like they're really banking on gestures.
This is starting to sound a lot like, you remember the old the Palm squiggle writing or whatever it was that you had
graffiti.
to figure out. Yeah, graffiti. That was a nightmare. It took me 6 weeks to figure out how to type my name.
Yeah.
Using it. So it's one interface, one way to do it. Call it good. It's like, why try to reinvent the wheel or the letter?
Yeah, it does seem like halfway between a touch interface and graffiti, where like, well, most of the gestures you'll get, you know, just like in graffiti, you would know how to draw an I. It's a line, you know.
Right.
But then there are some where it's like an F. You got to remember it's just like zzz, zzz. You don't do the extra piece, you know. And I think that's probably what's going to happen here.
I think the biggest gesture will be the phone being thrown into the trash can. That's just me. Man, I feel like a curmudgeon today. I feel like all I'm talking about, I feel like the grumpy old guy on the porch telling the phone to get off my yard.
I like it. We got to get you like a straw hat and like a straw, you know. You Blackberry, get off my lawn.
Back in my day.
What do you guys think about the Q10? That is the one that has the keyboard stuck at the bottom. Do you think that's just kind of like trying to appeal too many people?
I think that one's the one that's trying to appeal to their core audience. That people love the BlackBerry for two reasons: keyboard and email. And that's the phone that's gonna like, all right, try to win over their their main audience by keeping the keyboard. And also, I think it also has a touch screen too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to keep their current customer base a little more secure.
Right.
Yeah, and it's kind of, it feels like one of those things where it's like, hey, Dad, here's a phone that's comfortable to you, but with a little bit of the future on it, too.
Right,
So, like, you could feel like your kid using a touchscreen, but also
you could feel like a kid.
you know, I don't know. Do you, like, BlackBerry is essentially a business person's platform.
Right.
Do you think that this is going to be adopted regardless by those handful of businesses that rely on BlackBerry to run operations, in the same way that as much as we might moan about Windows 8, people are still going to buy it because they buy Windows, you know?
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
do they appeal to either of you to buy one?
No,
not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I mean, I had a BlackBerry, gosh, back in, what was it, like 2001 or something, when I was working for the publishing company. They gave them to all the employees to have so they could monitor them and keep the electric leash on them.
Right.
I gave mine back in 2 weeks. It was just like, this thing. I hated it personally.
Wow.
I just didn't like it. I thought it was clunky. I thought it was.
Wow. Even back then, when like you couldn't really do email mobile, you know, this was like your chance.
Yeah.
To do email mobile, you still gave it back.
I tried it and I just didn't like it.
Oh, all right. Well, you know what they say, as goes the Deal News podcast, as goes the nation. So the three of us agree this is not going to fly. All right. Our next story is kind of follow-up about the Kickstarter campaign that we had talked about a while ago. Louis, why don't you fill us in on what's been happening with the OUYA?
Yeah, so the OUYA announced two big things. First of all, that you can start pre-orders as of today. And second of all, they're going to start to, I think the pre-orders will arrive in March or May, and then it will actually open up to everyone in June for $99. And you will be able, they're partnering with Amazon and GameStop, and you'll be able to buy them from them.
Yeah.
Wow.
So $99.
It includes a controller. If you want an extra controller, the extra controller is $49, which is a bit of a premium, but I mean, you know, what do you
that essentially says that the device itself, the OUYA Cube, is $50 as well.
Right, right.
If they're not selling one or the other at a loss. And honestly, when this was first announced and like got so much money raised on Kickstarter, they blew away their original goal and whatever, and they said that they would be releasing this for $99. I kind of was thinking we're not going to see this for quite some time as
Me
they
too.
realized.
I thought it was vaporware. I honestly thought it was vaporware.
Yeah, where they're going to be like, no, we really can't make this for $100.
Right.
But I think in one of the fastest turnarounds of a Kickstarter campaign to actual device shipping, it's blown me away. For those of you who don't remember, the OUYA is a TV-connected gaming console that runs Android, so it'll run all sorts of open apps, and you can develop for it and make your own games for it, whatever. The twist is that every game that you make for it has to have a free portion of the game as well. So, every game has to have a demo as well. So you guys going to pre-order at Amazon? You're going to go into Target and Best Buy? And that's actually a really good scoop, isn't it, to get your product into a Target? And
I would think so.
And a GameStop also. I mean,
Best
that's
Buy,
pretty.
well,
that's huge. That's
Yeah,
huge.
that's good market saturation right there.
Yeah, especially you're kind of a gaming product, but you're a little bit more than that. It's almost like a mixed gaming kind of with a little bit of Roku thrown in, and Android all blended into one.
Yeah. Is it going to do... Ooh, I don't know why someone couldn't design, video streaming apps for...
It is. It's supposed to do Netflix. It will do Netflix. Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
As far as I can remember, I read that,
Right.
they expect it to do movie streaming and stuff like that.
It's pretty good. And the controller costs $50 because it has a touch screen on it, so I guess it's going to be but not a screen, just a touch pad. So
just a touch pad, right.
Essentially, it'll be like the one on your laptop, but with handlebars. Handlebars and buttons on the side, I guess.
Are you guys going to go out and buy one?
You know what? I'm very, very tempted. I think I will try to swing by a GameStop. I'm sure they're going to have it on display. Maybe check it out and then order it from Amazon. The one thing that's kind of stopping me...
showroomer!
The one thing that's stopping me, that's making me nervous, is the fact that, back when I was using Android, I remember the Android store and I remember the games. And I just didn't like any of them, to be honest. I didn't at all. And I'm worried that, that it's just going to be a huge market of games that I just don't care about, as horrible as that sounds.
Right,
yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't happen, but that's the one thing that I'm worried about. I don't want to end up putting $100 on a box that's just going to, essentially be another Roku, because I already have a Roku,
Right.
Right. So maybe for people who don't have a Roku, it's kind of a gimme, buy it, you get essentially some streaming, probably not everything that Roku offers, but you get Netflix streaming or whatever, and you get a potentially good gaming platform. Maybe that's the market they have to really attack first to show, because I mean there's so many things that you have to check off, right? You have to make sure that the game makers are going to develop for it, and are they going to develop for it if it doesn't have a wide install base? How do you get the wide install base? Appeal to people who don't want the games. So, market it as maybe just a streaming set-top box so that the gaming developers are like, well, it's already in a lot of homes, and then you can go around and around and then build that way. I don't know. I'm probably not going to buy one, pretty much because I have ways to stream, and like you said, the games, I'm not sure they're going to be there for me when it first comes out,
Right.
But that kind of hesitation will cause games to not get there either,
True.
So I don't know. Maybe you should take one for the betterment of the gaming world, Lewis, and buy one for the rest of us.
For the team.
Yeah. Dan, are you going to pick up an OUYA?
Absolutely not.
No?
No. I'm going to go curmudgeon on you again. It's like, honestly, it's like I don't play console games to begin with, and if I do play Android games, I'll play them on my phone or on my Kindle Fire. So for me, just to have them on a TV just doesn't make sense, because I don't sit down for, hours at a time. Well, no, that's a lie. I have played Angry Birds for over an hour.
Right.
But I think that unless it had some amazing streaming abilities, I would be tempted to do it, because I have been looking at a Roku or something for my upstairs TV. And I'm sitting there going, well, you know what? If I'm sick in bed and I get tired of watching, Breaking Bad on Netflix, I guess I can fire up some Angry Birds for an hour while I'm sniffling or something.
Right.
So I don't know. I might. I think I'm with you, Lewis. I would have to go and actually see it, get hands on, and see if it's actually got anything that makes me excited.
Right. Lately, on my iPhone, I've been buying a lot of games, and I'm kind of liking them. I've become a mobile gamer, whatever that means, you know. And the funny thing is, I used to be a hardcore gamer. I used to love gaming on my Xbox. You know, all my life I've had Nintendos, whatever. And then it just got to a point where I kind of got sick of all of the first-person shooters because they kind of just started repeating themselves. I mean, like, it's the same game essentially, and that's when. And then Xbox came out with create your profile, do this, do that, and I was like, all right, you know what? I need to give my Xbox a break, which I did. And lately, after I got my iPhone, I started getting into Angry Birds. I started getting into the FIFA games for iOS, and and I started getting into Temple Run and all those games like that.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? I miss these kind of games. They're like stupid simple, but they're fun. So if the OUYA console could do that very well and put that on the TV, I'm sold. I will definitely buy one.
Wow.
I will definitely buy one.
That's really interesting because I feel that I expect more from it because it is hooked up to a television. You know what I mean? I expect more than just like the Temple Run type of games to be on there. Maybe because I'm thinking of gaming consoles that are attached to TVs are like the PlayStations and the Xbox, and and to offer something that I could be playing on my phone but on the screen maybe doesn't have as big of an appeal to me as like a bigger game, even if they if another also ran of like the next Dead Space or whatever, I don't know.
Which I think they are. They announced that they're going to have some exclusives. I could be wrong.
Minecraft, right?
And Final Fantasy, one of the Final Fantasy titles was going to be on the OUYA, I believe. I think. But yeah, it looks like they're going to try to do like, your basic Temple Run kind of stuff and a little bit more. So they're going to hit both, both markets, both audiences, and hopefully appeal to both. At least that's what they're shooting for.
Well, if you like the casual games, there's one that I discovered recently, and it's available for both iOS and Android. It's called Alchemy. I don't know if you have played this. I think we might have done a deal on it. It was free, or maybe I just found it. I don't know. It's free, and I believe it continues to be free. And you start out with 4 elements: earth, wind, fire, and air. And then you combine them, and you create new elements to combine with those and other elements. And you can combine like something like 400 elements, and it's just mindlessly addicting fun of like fire plus water equals steam. Okay, steam plus land equals mud. And
cool.
Yeah,
wow,
so
that's kind of neat.
So if you like just those kind of games where you just sit there and like fiddle with it for like an hour, Alchemy. It's my thumbs up recommendation for everyone.
I'll check that out.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Do we have time for one last quick?
We've got time.
I don't think we do. We're really running out of time.
That was quick.
Dude, it seems like it keeps getting shorter. Pretty soon it's going to be Welcome to the DealNews podcast. Good night.
Well, I am trying to keep it. I'm trying to keep it nice and terse. We are at the limit of where we want to be. One thing I do want to mention, because I think it is awesome, is that this week Canada has dropped the penny. They will no longer be making new ones, and I guess as they get to the banks, they're going to be removing them from circulation.
Wow.
If you pay via electronic means, you will pay the actual amount of any product, but if you're paying via cash, you will be rounding the price to the nearest 5 cents. So I guess if it's 2 cents, it gets rounded down. If it's 3 cents or above, it gets rounded up to 5 cents.
Wow.
I think this is something that America should do. And by America, I mean the U.S. of A. I didn't mean to be general there. I want us to do this because then the collection of pennies that I have is going to be worth something because they're going to be rare.
See, I will take it a step further and say just eliminate all coins.
Wow.
All of them. Maybe if you want to keep a coin just for good old-fashioned sake, keep the quarter. Everything else needs to go. Nickels especially. God, I hate nickels.
So specific. Why do you hate nickels so much?
They're useless. They're almost as useless as the penny.
I guess I never
They
find
are
myself
kind of.
paying for something with a nickel. I'll always just go for the quarter,
Exactly. You always go for the quarter, and then you get a nickel back, and you're like, great, now I have a nickel.
Yeah, and nobody likes Nickelback.
Nah.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Easy joke.
We cannot do any better than that, so we are done here. Thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you, Jeff.
Listeners, for links to today's stories, Twitter feeds, blog links, and more, go to our show notes page. Plus, feel free to send us feedback to podcast@dealnews.com. I'm Jeff Somogyi. Goodbye.
That was the perfect setup for that joke.
It really was.
Man, you guys couldn't have lobbed that one over the net any easier for me. Wow.